Welcome to the Modern Dog Parents.
We're back again this week, and we're actually going to be talking about a message that we received, unfortunately, from one of our pupstomers. And it's quite a serious topic, which is what we wanted to touch on today, of how to feed your dog chews safely, because unfortunately it was our first ever choking incident with a dog. Thankfully they're okay. We were very worried in the beginning. It stressed us out a lot because obviously we care a lot for the dogs and we're here to help them. So that's the worst nightmare from us, having this sort of review from one of our customers. And that's why today we wanted to obviously talk and share on this. I don't think most businesses would, because
It's a sensitive topic.
Yeah.
You never want to know that one of your products might have caused like an obstruction or something. So we do take it seriously, and we felt like it was right to address it because people should know. We don't want anyone to feel like they're in the dark. But thankfully, the dog's okay. The owner was okay. They were super understanding, and we got to talk to them and everything. So yeah, we thought it would be a great way to address this using the podcast.
Exactly, yeah. And so today, Mel and I, we're going to talk through some of the benefits and risks of giving chews, because we know exactly how they must feel. Lenny, when we first got Lenny, actually had an incident with rawhide because we had absolutely no idea what we were meant to give him. We were new dog parents ourselves, so we know how scary it can be. And we hope this doesn't frighten people off, because dogs forever, we all know this, have instinctively had this need to chew. Could you imagine back in the days before we came along and domesticated them? They would hunt for their prey, they would eat the meat from the bone, and it would have all sorts of benefits which we can still use today. But of course, it has to be given in the right way.
Yeah, and I think about scaring people off as well. If anything, I wish I had somewhere to go or someone that I knew that would have told me the risks first, because yes, this might scare some people off, and if that's the case, that's okay. Like, when you're, it's the same with us. When Lenny had his incident, it took me a while to want to give him anything else again. Then he had another kind of like lamb bone once. He had a bit of resource guarding, but we taught him not to do that. So that was another thing, another learning curve for him when he came to chewing on bones. And then as he got older and we learned how he chewed, and that's when we were starting to get comfortable with it. But it comes with time and it comes with education, and that's what we're hoping to provide.
And the biggest thing to remember is anything you give your dog carries risks. I mean, you could give them a toy and they could choke on it. You could look away for a second and they chew through one of your shoes and they've choked on it. Like we've had so many stories of dogs being left alone or chewing something they shouldn't, and you end up at the vet.
Yeah.
So that's why we're very big about promoting this properly guided chewing sessions, because it has so many benefits if used properly.
That's right. We even had a customer at the pup shop that told us that they got a Goldie, and the first day they brought him home, they gave him his kibble and they left the house, and they came back to the house and it had choked on its kibble and it had died. And that's,
which was really sad.
Yeah, and that's on kibble, and then you've got people choking on rice. But the common theme that you see here is that people are not supervising. And I think that's the biggest thing. This is what we advocate for the most. So if you're not willing to supervise, then you shouldn't be giving your dogs, bones. But like Josh will go through that as well. Supervision means a lot of different things. But yeah, we're not expecting you to just like sit there and watch them the whole time.
And every chew is different. We sell a range of natural chews. Some are bones and some are harder or stronger, like femurs, which are longer lasting. Some are softer and muscle based, like bully sticks or kangaroo tails, which are more muscle. There's a thin bone in the middle. So it can also depend on what bone you want to choose or what chew you're choosing. What chew you're choosing. And also your dog's chewing style, which we will cover. But I thought we'd start with, Mel, some of the risks of giving a chew, just so people know. What are some of the risks you see with the chews, and do certain chews have more risks?
Yeah, I think to start off, we started off with the story. I think the incident happened with one of the femur bones. And with femur bones, they're a little bit harder. So you do have risk of, sometimes the bones breaking up into small pieces. And that's why we say, if you do see small pieces, discard them. And this is why supervision is important. If you're leaving your dog too long, and I'm talking hours, and this seems to be another common theme with pet parents sometimes, is that people talk about cracking of the teeth. Now, this would have to happen because that dog is chewing on it for a long time on something that it shouldn't be chewing on. for
And it
that
has
long.
to be a harder
And it
chew,
has to be
yeah,
a harder chew.
like a horn or something.
Yeah.
Most dehydrated, like even though we sell femurs, since they're slowly air dried, they're more porous. And
Mm.
as Mel said, the femurs will typically crumble off. So we've never had an incident of a back molar or a fractured tooth breaking,
No,
anything
that's
like
right.
that,
But that's what I'm saying. If it was to happen, it would be because someone is leaving their dog with a bone, a hard
mm.
bone, for a very long time.
Or a
Because
raw bone as well.
or a
Yeah,
raw bone as
yeah,
well. So yeah, you've got obviously some crumbling off, or people like to call that splintering. That can
mm.
happen, and that look, that's a risk with everything, everything natural. If you're expecting something to last a
Mm.
really, really long time, you're not looking at something natural. It will be
Mm.
something synthetics, nylon, or maybe
Mm.
it could be like a goat's horn, but that has been a
Mm.
really high risk for cracking teeth as
Yeah.
well.
Or anything long lasting, you've got to expect it's either got to be really hard or it's got to not break down with some sort of chemical or something synthetic.
Mm,
So people want these long lasting chews or treats, but then they get upset if there's a risk associated with it,
mm,
which it's sort of it comes inherently with having something long lasting. So if you want something that's shorter lasting, then you can get things that break down more easily, but
mm.
anything long lasting is you've just got to actually supervise
Of
them
course.
and give it to them in the right way.
So yeah, you've got you've got that, you've got the crumbling, obviously, super super hard bones that you're just letting your dog eat for too long, and then you also have some risks of intolerability or the digestive issues. But
Mm,
usually anything bone wise would have rich in marrow, so that will disturb the tummy a little bit. So when you introduce new foods to your dogs, and this is why when you change your dog's food, they tell you it takes weeks.
mm,
So if they've never had a bone before, or they've never had a certain type of bone and they have it for an hour the first time, yeah, the tummy's going to hurt, or they might have
mm,
a bit of diarrhea. So
mm,
you want to introduce it slowly. You want to make sure that they can tolerate the protein. So that's
mm,
another, potential. I wouldn't call it a risk, but
mm,
it's an issue that some dogs may have.
mm,
Um, and then gobbling down, obviously, again, the whole chokage thing,
mm,
okay, is usually because your dog is crunching really enthusiastically on a bone, which
mm,
means they might not be used to knowing how to eat a bone yet. And this is
mm,
what happened the first time with Lenny as well with the rawhide, is he was so excited to eat it
mm,
that he just did a one big crunch and then just swallowed. So this is
mm,
why we always say hold the bone if you can, only give it to them for 5 minutes, literally just 5 minutes at the very start, and then you can increase that time to 10, 15 minutes, over a few days.
yeah.
So
So
yeah.
some of the risks are, yeah, one, choking, especially if they're gulpers or swallowers. That's the main thing you want to watch for, so they don't swallow it whole. So potentially the size of the chew as well. You said tolerability is a big one. One of the risks, just making sure that they're not allergic or sensitive to the protein or marrow. And then thirdly is the splintering or crumbling of any bone or rawhide. Rawhide also splinters.
Mm.
I
And
suppose,
removing those small
and removing
pieces.
those small pieces, because there's actually mixed results. Some say that dogs can digest bone, some can't. I think it depends on the dog's gut a lot of the time, because
Mm,
sometimes you'll find that they could eat an entire bone and they're completely fine with it, whereas some won't tolerate it as well. So it
mm.
always depends, I think, on the dog, and you will know your dog best.
But this is why, again, all of this comes down to supervision,
Mm,
because let's be honest, when you give your dog a bone and you say, I'm going to supervise, and you're watching a show or you're on your phone, you didn't really time it. You could have left it with them for 10 minutes, for 20, for 30, for 40, and you're not actually. The beginning of giving chews to your dog is the supervision is important, because that's how you learn your dog, and
mm,
how they chew and how they tolerate it. So
mm,
if we had an incident actually in regards to tolerability, and why I say it was one of the risks, is because sometimes people might not know that their dogs have pancreatitis, or some they may, and
mm,
then they're not watching how long they're having the bone for, and then they're having a bit of a bleed, or they're having
mm.
an upset tummy because of it, or they're vomiting or something. So yeah, you do need to know your dog well before you decide to give them a chew.
Mm, mm.
Yeah.
Which is why we always have usage guides and have safety guides. If you do want to get a safety guide, please comment safe in the comments below, and we'll send you a PDF safety guide for your dog on how to feed chews properly.
Mm.
But why don't you touch on, Mel, some of the key safety tips we have around giving chews?
Yeah, so ours is it's a pretty simple like layout. We always say when you give a chew to your dog for the first time, give it to them for just 5 minutes. Ideally, you want to hold one end of the bone just to see how they actually chew on it. Encourage gnawing instead of crunching on the bone.
Mm,
So if you see that they're getting a little bit too excited about it, just take it away.
mm,
Always provide water and always supervise.
mm,
So, what we mean by supervision, and I guess for Lenny, it started with, yeah, me watching him a lot of the time. But now we can be here watching TV and he can be over there having his
mm,
bone. Um, so long as they're within your vicinity, because even if I'm watching TV, I can still hear him eat. So if I feel like I'm hearing him choke or anything, I'm here.
mm,
I'm not leaving him alone with it.
mm.
So yeah, just
And
5
Lenny
minutes.
is not a cruncher. That's why
Yeah,
he is a very soft chewer and a gnawer.
yeah.
So there's not really many pieces that break off that you have to
He is
worry
so
about.
gentle, like
Yeah,
the gentlest eater ever.
yeah,
But again, this is because Lenny is that way. Now, you will know your dog, whether
mm,
they're the type of dog to inhale things too quick or eat too
mm,
quickly. And this is another thing that you can do is also put the bone into a Kong
mm,
or a bone holder. So then they can't get to the end of it and swallow it whole. So, yeah, everything comes with a risk,
mm,
but it's about managing those risks and then
mm,
teaching them good chewing habits. And then the more they learn that if I am careful with it, I eat it slowly, that you're going to leave it with them longer.
mm.
And then that's how they learn to eat chews properly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so main safety tips are, yeah, one, supervision always, especially when it's their first time.
Yeah.
You probably want to sit with them the first time because you're only going to give it for 5 or so minutes anyway to
Mm.
test tolerability, and just make sure they're not gulping, not crunching on it. You want to, yeah, hold one end or put it in a Kong if they are trying to crunch or break it with those back molars. You want to encourage gnawing, and that way it actually has better benefits for teeth cleaning as well.
Hmm.
Secondly, yeah, you want to what is he doing?
Oh,
He's
s-
distracts me. Lenny's always so
sorry. Just
distracting.
loving
He's
on my
so
dog.
cute, just giving kisses. Where was that? Yeah, so
Yeah.
supervision,
Yep.
removing small pieces as they chew. If they do break off and crumble off, which can happen with naturally air dried chews, the pieces will crumble as they chew it. Make sure you size up the bone. So that's a good tip. If you're worried about gulping or swallowing whole, get a larger bone so they can't swallow them in one go. We had that issue with Lenny when he was younger.
Mm.
And if you're feeding things like rawhide, which we're very against,
Mm.
rawhide actually swells in the gut. So that's why it can actually cause internal obstructions. And that's why we advocate for more natural chews. Rawhide is this bleached chemical. I think it's the hide of a cow,
Mm.
and it's very chemically based. So that's why it swells up. And even though it's long lasting, it's quite dangerous. So yeah, always monitor them. Give in small amounts at first to test tolerability, remove small pieces, provide them water because it is thirsty work. They're going to need a drink afterwards. And once you're used to them, as Mel said, you can just have them sitting off to the side while you're watching TV or doing your
Mm.
work because it has a lot of benefits and they
Yeah.
enjoy it as well.
Did you want to actually, yeah, let us know some of the benefits of giving your dog chews?
Yeah, many of you may see this a lot from us. We use it because I don't know about you, but we're very busy, and Lenny doesn't like us brushing his teeth. And the chews work via abrasion. You know, if they're gnawing on the bone properly, it actually helps scrub off some of that plaque off their teeth. So if they've got yellow or browning on their teeth, it can help clean them. Many of your dogs, even though you walk them, might still have a lot of energy or be anxious or hyper at night. Many of you might struggle with witching hour.
Mm.
Every night we give Lenny a chew, and sometimes it's only 10 minutes. But
Most times it's
afterwards,
actually only 10
yeah,
minutes, to
it's
be
very
honest.
short. And
Yeah.
afterwards, he's completely wrecked. We've spoken about the science of chewing before. It releases these happy hormones, serotonin and dopamine, and that actually helps calm them down. So, very good to help them relax at nighttime, help them settle. It's instinctual for a dog to
Of
chew.
course, yeah.
And then lastly, they actually contain a lot of nutrients, so calcium, phosphorus, things that they won't get in their usual diet, even
Mm.
if you're feeding them raw. Usually they need some sort of bones to get those minerals.
Mm.
So teeth cleaning helps them calm, and they're also getting some essential vitamins and minerals from the bones.
Nice. Yeah, I think there are so many benefits that outweigh, I believe, the
Mm,
risks. But I think, and I will say this very honestly, I think a lot of people misuse bones, and this is
mm,
why there are so many accidents and
mm,
why one incident can just put you off completely
Mm,
and never give them a bone again. Now, obviously, I understand if something really bad's happened, you're like, no, I don't want this. And yeah, maybe
mm,
your dog shouldn't have it because they didn't eat it properly. But
mm,
I think a lot of people use bones to distract their dogs. We
mm,
like to promote bones as a tool
mm,
to enrich them.
mm,
So we wanted to benefit them. So like Josh said, whether it's teeth cleaning, mental stimulation,
mm,
calming them down, it's all for the benefit of them.
mm,
It's not for the benefit of me, not wanting to look after him for a few hours.
mm.
So in you have some people sometimes saying, hey, you're promoting out this bone to last days, but it only lasted me 4 hours. Well,
Yeah, we do
okay,
get
I
funny
mean,
comments like that.
okay, that's that. I understand what you're saying, but the thing is, no one should be giving their dogs for a bone for that long. I'm not saying they fed them
4
for
hours
4 hours
straight.
straight, but even if you give it to them for an hour or two straight, a dog really should not need to chew for more than half an hour. There
Mm,
is no benefit after that time for
mm,
them to continue chewing.
mm,
And to be honest, if you need something to distract your dog for that long, then yeah, do not use a bone, because that is not the way. When I was working full time
mm,
and you were working full time and we had the business, I don't think I ever felt the need to ever use one of our bones to say, oh, Lenny, here you go, take this outside. Like, I need you to leave me alone. I've got so much to do.
mm,
No, like it's a combination of walking them, of training them, of
mm,
giving them chews, and building a routine that
mm.
makes them feel enriched. So you don't need to use it as a distraction.
Yeah.
So it's my little rant here, but I think a lot of the reasons why accidents happen is because people are giving their dogs bones. They're throwing it on their beds and being like, have at it.
Mm,
You're not checking the time, you're not looking at them, and then all of a sudden they start choking, and you're
mm,
thinking, oh my god, I'm going to go after this brand because oh, they're selling something that's dangerous. I could choke on a piece of rice and die. Like, you know what I'm saying? It is all about
yeah,
supervision. They
yeah,
are like children.
yeah,
They don't have that thinking of, oh, I'll be careful with this.
yeah,
Yeah, it's like a toddler. You got to
mm,
treat them like they're a toddler. You got to wash them. You got to make sure they're within your vicinity, and
mm.
that you're using it for the right reason, and that it's actually benefiting them.
Yeah, and it is funny because we do get comments on Instagram, whatever, that says, "Oh, this only lasted my dog 2 or 3 hours," or "It's meant to be long lasting." I'm like, "That what do you expect from something long lasting? 2 or 3 hours is huge."
And also from a
And
natural product.
from a natural product, yeah, it's not synthetic, it's not artificial. And if you fed it the way you were meant to, which is half an hour increments,
That would
that's
last
like, yeah,
you.
that's like 5 6 days of chewing
Yeah.
if you actually spread it out the way you were meant to. And as Mel said, if they're enriched and have a routine, you should give it to them for half an hour, and afterwards they will go and nap because they
Mm,
are tired. It's just because when you leave it with them, it creates that fixation on it
mm.
because they have that chewing drive. So
Yeah, they're not going to stop. If you're
yeah,
going to give it to them with unlimited time,
mm,
they're going to eat it to the bone, like
mm,
to nothing,
yeah,
you know? But this is why I think as well, like it's so much easier for us, at the pub shop or when we meet people at the park, when they want to try products, we can actually be there and support them and teach them how to feed it to their dogs. And it ends up being really successful.
mm,
And this is why we have so many guides, chewing guides, best choose for dental health, and why we put all of these, we've got videos on how to
yeah,
feed them properly. So it's all about, we try and give as much resource as we can and as much education. It's all about, it's up to the pet parent to do that education.
yeah,
And I think sometimes people just, nowadays they just want something that's really like quick, and
mm,
this is why we do the podcast, because we hope it'll resonate, or something that we say will be like worth, staying and listening in for just a few minutes,
yeah.
because it is important to know those things.
Yeah, and let us know in the comments what your experience has been. Have you found chews helpful? Have you had any negative experiences? I think, as Mel said, it can put you off, but I do promise, yeah, if you've got this structure around it and you know how to give them safely, we've had thousands of happy pupstomers that
Mm,
really love the chews that they do well with.
mm,
One of the options you do have as well, because we're probably more relating this to the strong femur bones that we give, which are really long lasting. The benefit of the air dried femurs though is they do crumble off, whereas giving your dog raw femur bones like from cattle are very hard, and that's what will
yes.
actually cause the cracking of the teeth. So make sure you avoid really hard bones. I don't think I like goat's
Yeah,
horns
so
and
it
that sort of
includes,
thing
yeah, the cracking
either.
of the teeth thing was about, yeah, goat horns. You're talking in like cattle
Cattle,
bones,
cattle bones and
like the
cattle
beef femur
femurs.
bones. Yeah, so
I
those are the,
I see a lot about giving dogs tracheas and ribs. I'm quite worried about choking with giving stuff
well,
like
we gave
tracheas. He had an
him,
issue with that,
yeah.
because I think if they can swallow it whole, they will. And
Well, the thing is, right, the trachea is like a hollow thing. It's a bit like
mm,
when you give a child a grape, a toddler a grape, and they always tell you, the fact that it's circular, that is
mm,
what causes kind of that blockage. And
mm,
there was one time we bought him a trachea, and usually they're quite long, but this particular person decided to cut them up in pieces and sell them as singular ringlets,
mm,
and instantly he choked on it,
mm.
and he hasn't had a trachea since.
Yeah,
He hasn't had a trachea since, and this is why we don't sell them. But
yeah,
then again, the products that you see on our website are products that we actually give Lenny, that we've
yes,
tested with him, that
yeah,
he has tried, that he has tolerated, and that he's actually succeeded, chewing on.
yeah,
So again, it doesn't mean that it will fit your dog.
yeah,
And some people might say, oh yeah, they reacted to it, or they didn't like it, they didn't touch it. Every dog, just like people,
mm,
are different. It's you learn what they like, and you learn
mm,
about their preferences, and
mm,
you learn about the density of what
mm,
works for them, whether they need something harder or something lighter.
yeah,
But we're always here to answer any questions,
yeah.
and we're always here if you want more help, and that's what we try
Mm.
to do with the business. Yeah.
And to break down the different options you have, I would say the densest and strongest bone we have is the kangaroo femur, which I think has the highest risk of crumbling or having pieces come off, or being a little bit harder to break down and digest for your dog. So that is what I'd put at the highest level. Under that, you have the emu femur. But the good thing about the emu femur is because it is from a bird, it's more porous. And this one actually digests very well. It contains emu oil, which is an anti-inflammatory, and we have had no reports of the emu femur. It breaks down very well. Under that, similar to the emu femur, we have the root teeth
Mm.
cleansers, which is from a kangaroo's pelvis, so it's non-weight bearing bone. And once again, it's very porous. It doesn't last as long. I'd say the kangaroo femurs can last dogs days, hours, even if they're a power chewer and a staffy. Same for the emu femur. If you've got a smaller to medium dog, the kangaroo teeth cleansers can last that same length. But if you've got a larger dog, I have heard they can eat it in about half an hour,
Yeah.
depending on how quickly they can chew through it. But the good thing with the teeth cleanser is that it is more porous. It breaks down quite easily. It's more easily digested for your dog, and still very good at cleaning those teeth as well because it is porous. So those are the three main bones that you can get that last longer. However, we do have options that are more muscle based. Something like the bully stick. Those are actually one of Lenny's favorites.
Mm.
They don't last him long, maybe 10 minutes, but they're fully digestible because it's muscle. So you don't really have to worry about splintering. You don't have to worry about blockages or digestibility, anything like that. You still have to watch them because obviously, if they try to
Yeah.
swallow it whole,
It's just
it can
less
cause
risk than
issues.
a
There's less
bone.
risk. So I'm breaking it down in terms of risk for you. And then you've got things like shark cartilage or duck feet, which are more cartilage based. The duck feet obviously has a little bit of bone in
Mm.
there, but very easily digested, very high in collagen, so very good for their joints and coat and gut health. And then we've also got the kangaroo kingtails. They're currently
Out of stock.
out of stock. Some dogs that can last a few hours as well. If you've got a
A
small
little
dog,
dog,
that would
yeah.
last them hours and
To be honest,
hours.
it looks super
It's
intimidating, but the
huge,
little dogs actually love them. It's
They
a
love
great
them.
option for
Yeah.
them, because it just lasts so long. Yeah.
Yeah, which is a very strong muscle on the outside. It's about 5 to 6 times the size of a bully stick,
It's huge.
and with a very small, thin bone in the middle, which is a bit easier to break down. Of course, non-weight bearing because it's a kangaroo tail.
Tail, yeah.
So if you're looking for other options that are not, as much bone based, then things like bully sticks, shark cartilage, duck feet, the kangaroo kingtail, I think, is your longest lasting, more muscle based chew.
Mm.
So there are options out there if you're worried about these bones, that may last a bit longer, and you want something that's easier to break down as well.
Yeah. And this is why when I feel like when you shop from us as well, because we don't really talk about the pup shop as much.
Mm,
It's more about experiences. But when you do buy from us, what you do get is We try to give you, when you buy a bone, we do give you a guide on the bone to tell
Mm,
you like how to actually feed them. If you head to our website, you'll see there is usually a usage guide or a FAQ guide under each product page.
mm,
And we try as best as we can to go through all of the risks and all of the benefits to
mm,
help you as much as possible. And now we've also started giving out like a little QR code where you can access a video of Lenny and I, and we talk through how to give your dog a chew for the very first time safely.
mm,
So, where we feel like, well, I feel especially a lot of businesses, and there's so many opening every single day, are saying, just buy this treat because it's
mm,
good for them because of XYZ.
mm,
But no one actually tells you how to use it, what it's
mm,
good for. And I think that was one of my biggest things when I first went to the pet store and I saw all these bones, right? They're all in a basket at the bottom where you go and
mm,
pay. And I'm looking at them and I'm thinking, can I give this to him now? Is he old enough? Is
mm,
this too hard? Is this not hard enough? Is he gonna like it? Is he not gonna touch it? Am I gonna spend money on it?
mm.
No one actually guides you
Yeah.
on this. And I feel like we try our best to do that. And this is why, again, but I feel like at the end of the day, like we're talking about this incident or any incident that happens with bones, it all comes down to supervision. It all
Mm,
comes down to, are you willing to actually teach your dog how to chew on a bone? Are you willing to
mm,
watch them the first few times?
mm,
Because I can tell you, if you are willing to put in that time, it will benefit them and
mm.
you long term.
Yeah.
Because it's Lenny's favorite part of his routine.
Mm.
And honestly, it's ours too. He looks so happy. He's so enriched. And then after he chews, he's like, yep, I'm down. I'm gonna go
Yeah.
to sleep now. So
Yeah.
and I know that he's happy.
Yeah.
So yeah, it can be really, really amazing. But it all comes down to how willing the pet parent is to learn.
Yeah, and also choosing the right, chew for your dog, depending where they are. So if they're a puppy,
Mm,
obviously you don't want to give them anything that's too hard until they've got all their adult teeth, which happens around 6 months or so.
yeah.
But make sure they've got all their adult teeth. Before that, they can have the softer ones like the bully sticks and duck feed and shark cartilage, which are okay.
Mm,
And I almost treat puppies quite similarly to an elderly dog,
yes.
depending how their teeth are and how old they are, because you don't want them losing their teeth prematurely on these harder bones and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
There can be extra benefits as well from certain chews. I mentioned the shark cartilage and duck feet because they're very high in collagen, chondroitin, glucosamine. You might have heard of these in these joint supplements. They're very good for the dog's gut health. So if you've got a puppy or an elderly dog and you want softer chews, those are the right ones to go to for them. And then if you've got a more power chewer, someone who is higher energy, we've found the harder chews much more popular with the
Staffies,
staffies.
yeah.
Staffies absolutely love the kangaroo femurs, the emu
But
femurs.
then I do have to say though, our Staffy customers, I think for the most part, are very responsible. Like they're
Yeah,
watching their dogs, because Staffies can also eat very quickly and gobble
yeah,
things down. And their
exactly. Yeah,
jaws are just so strong,
yeah,
like they could just snap that bone in half. So I think again, it is all about the pet parent being responsible enough to
yeah.
know that their Staffy is able to be trusted with a
Mm,
bone, and they've worked on that trust and they've worked on feeding them chews. So
yeah.
again, and I won't stop saying this, it's really up to the pet parent.
Mm,
You guys know your dog the best, and it is the most important part of feeding anything. It's not just a bone, it's about feeding food, it's about feeding anything.
yeah.
You're the one who has to make that decision, and you're the one
Mm.
who has that responsibility to make sure that your dog is safe, you
Exactly.
know?
Yeah. And everything comes with risk, no matter what it is. So I
Yeah.
think it's just weighing that risk versus benefit, yeah, for your dog.
Mm,
But we're always here to help. So if you have any questions, please reach out anytime. We've got our own dog, Lenny, as you see, and we've learnt all this as we've grown up with him.
mm.
So we've talked a little bit, I suppose, about the risks, the
The
benefits of the
benefits.
chews, how to feed them safely. Is
Mm.
there anything else you wanted to add, Mel, for today?
Um, Not really. I think, like Josh said just at the end, yeah, if you have any questions, we are always here. Like, please send us an email, a DM. We would much rather you ask a question than
Mm,
try it without knowing.
mm,
But we do want to say that if there is any issue, we like to be, yeah, honest about it, because we want to make sure that you guys know that we are here to support you and support your dog.
mm.
There's no way we would ever be in this business to harm anyone or harm any dogs.
Yeah.
So um, education is very important. That's what we're here for. And yeah,
Yeah.
that's really it. What about you?
And I hope you appreciate the honesty and it didn't
Yeah,
scare you too much or anything like that. But we're about being transparent,
yeah,
and it really did upset us to hear that.
mm,
I got really worried because I know how it is. I love Lenny so much, and we've gone through that. So I hope they're doing okay now. Well, we know they're doing okay. They've
yeah,
messaged us and said everything is fine. But we want to make sure your dog's safe. We want to make sure you feel comfortable. That's most important of all, and we're always here to support. I think going forward, I was speaking to Mel earlier, I want to make these complete systems with the chew packs that we have, where you'll get sent a guide, like a PDF guide, discussing what we've talked about today, potentially more videos about how to give these things safely. If there's anything else you'd like included, please let us know in the comments. If you have any stories of your own relating to rawhide or anything, let us know in the comments. I think it's good for others to hear this.
mm,
Do you still feed rawhide? That's a good one.
mm.
We
Or if you
got
feed
completely
bones,
put
what
off it.
bones do you give your
Well,
dog, or what works for you and what doesn't? Just
exactly.
like Lenny's accident with the trachea when he was little, it didn't put me off bones, but it just put me off the trachea. So again,
Yeah, exactly.
it's
Yeah,
about figuring out what works for you,
yeah,
because like I said, there are so many benefits.
yeah.
But yeah, it's up to you to figure
Yeah.
that out. Yeah.
Are there raw bones that work for you? I have been wanting to give Lenny raw bones, but I know there's always that risk as well of the bacteria with the raw bones. So that's why we,
Unless you give it like super fresh or
yeah, yeah. And what ones to give, because
mm,
I'm always worried about, yeah, how hard some of them are. And
mm,
then obviously being able to swallow them whole. Whereas we're comfortable with the ones that we've got just because we've been using them for so long. So if you have
mm.
any tips for us around the raw bones, let us know.
Yeah.
We haven't ventured too much down that down that
Not
alley.
yet. Yeah.
No, yeah, we have done a few actually with the saltiest dog. We got
Yeah, yeah.
some
Oh
from
no,
her.
they were great. There's no doubt about it. It's not even about the bone itself. It's about Lenny's tolerability with anything, with
Yeah,
everything.
exactly.
He
Yeah,
is
that's true.
so sensitive, and we're still on a journey to figure out what the heck to give him to eat every day. Because we want him to have a really good diet. Because we want him to
Yeah,
live forever. So anything new that we introduce to his diet, he's always going to react to. So it'll just take a little bit more
yeah,
more research and more
yeah,
trial and errors, and
yeah.
we'll get there. But yeah.
Yeah, but I think the big thing to remember is, yeah, this is what they've done forever. They're dogs. We've domesticated them recently and we see them as our babies, but they've always chewed bones. I mean,
Yeah.
it's the oldest saying in the book, throw the dog a bone or whatever it
Mm,
is, or you associate a bone with a dog. So I think it's just the way that we give them has to be safe. I think it
mm,
has to be supervised.
mhm.
And yeah, let us know what you thought of today's episode. We appreciate you joining us
Yeah.
and we'll see you next time. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.